Good Sunday evening, high school sports fans. Joe Gilloway with Lingelstown Gazette Sports, live from the Orchard Street studio. And this is our high school football week 4 recap show. I'll be joined momentarily by our panel of experts, along with our opening guest, as soon as we're done thanking those responsible for bringing you tonight's show, our Lingelstown Gazette Sports Platinum sponsors. And they are American Legion Post 272, Crystal Bob at Iron Valley Real Estate, the Tire Mart, Team PA, AAU Basketball, Capital Region Insurance Agency, Sam Hartley Decking, Payor Apparel, Tonino's Pizza, Hoffman Ford, and Ted's Bar and Grill. Thanks to those great local businesses for their continued support of Lingelstown Gazette Sports and our area's student athletes. I'd like to once again thank Penn Live. We're going to do this on a weekly basis. We use a handful of their photos every week, and I love what they do. I'm friends with some of their writers and photographers. So thanks to Penn Live for allowing us to kind of borrow or use some of your photos on our show here. Upcoming, hopefully a week from tonight, next Sunday night, we have 6th year East Pennsboro head coach John Denniston, a friend of mine, great guy, great leader of young men. He's out of the gate at 3-1 after a win over Greencastle Antrim on Friday night. And up next, they have Boiling Springs. And they're looking to go 4-1, so that they're doing well over there, and with Coach Denniston at the helm. So tonight we think we already have Travis Waters and the voice of Delco, Dave Berman. Terry Clark Jr. is out tonight, and we're hoping to have Eric Thomas in here. And our opening guest is slated to be Harrisburg 15th year Harrisburg head coach Cal Everett, and he has not shown up yet. So we're going to get rocking here, and we will interrupt ourselves if Cal Everett comes in. Hopefully he does, and then we'll do the interview with Coach Everett, and then get back to whatever we got started here. So, fellas, how you guys doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. I appreciate. I say it every week. You guys, I call you my panel of experts because you are a panel and you are experts. You guys are. Make the ride a whole lot smoother for me. You guys are. I wouldn't want anybody else to help me do this show, and I really appreciate it. So we don't have. I texted you guys earlier, and this is with respect to all the teams that did play games, and but I really couldn't find an absolute kind of game of the week. Like we normally have, like a big matchup. We've had Harrisburg our first 3 weeks actually because they played 3 really big games, but nothing really stood out to me. But we're still going to talk about some local games and then go around the state a little bit. But let's start with some housekeeping items. And we talked about this Ursuline High School in Youngstown, Ohio. They had some problems. They do have some issues with some excessive. I'm going to call it excessive hazing. It looks like, and their season is now canceled. They were losing teams left and right, one after the other. Teams were just taking that game off their schedule, and it got to the point where they just had to kind of surrender. And they have players that are trying to transfer mid-season, and supposedly, some of these players might have been part of the incident or incidents and or the cover-up of them. So it's kind of like rats fleeing a sinking ship. Everybody's scrambling, and it's a kind of a different situation there. It's a Catholic school, and of course, we all know, and I say this with utmost respect, the private schools aren't accountable to anyone but the courts, okay? They kind of do their own thing. They don't have a school board. They don't have taxpayers to satisfy or report to. It's much easier to keep things in-house. Right, Travis? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would agree, but they do have tuition-paying parents to
right.
So.
Right, yeah. So, you'd have to get because I only say that because it seems like I don't know if they tried to cover it up altogether, but this should have been kind of exposed, and the season probably should have ended already before this. Anyway, these student athletes that have transferred, they're going to have a bylaw to deal with. It says that after you play a regular season contest, probably 5 seconds of a game, one game, you can't transfer mid-season and pick up your eligibility elsewhere. So they're working on that. And you know what I'm going to do? I am going to text Cal. I don't want to bug him, but I'm going to text him. One time. I know he's a busy man. So anyway, I just wanted to follow up on that. We talked a little bit about it, and it's a shame that this stuff happens. I mean, we've had stuff like this locally, and it's to me, it's a little more than boys will be boys. Some of this stuff. I played sports. You guys sure played. I know you did, Travis. We've been in locker rooms. We've been on buses. This isn't the kind of stuff that happened on my buses and my locker rooms, and I'm not laughing at it. I'm just saying that this is kind of out of the ordinary from what I was accustomed to growing up.
I'd say when I was in high school, a big part of the hazing was kids busting on each other.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And that could get pretty brutal.
Which before our time, they called it playing the dozens, right? But we called it busting. We called it busting, and it got brutal. You better not have had dirty sneakers or short pants or any of that stuff. So but I went to Southside.
They call it ripping.
Okay, yeah, I've heard that too. I went to Southside Elementary on Union Deposit Road from about 72 through 79, and it was rough, man. Some of the best years of my life, though. Cal's looking for the he wants to come in, but he's looking for the link. So viewers, I'm sorry. It's important that we try to get Coach Everett in here because that's an integral part of every show is to have an opening guest, a coach with us. So anyway, has anybody noticed? Is it just me? It seems like there's far less Thursday night games. I think that the PIAA might have a little bit of a grasp on hiring officials, hiring more than they're losing, I mean, other than Steel High, who's borrowing, their other people's fields, stadiums. I haven't seen a Thursday night game. Have you guys?
Yeah. Well, I've heard, I read somewhere where they are finding more officials. I'm sure they want more. But I think that issue has been alleviated a little bit. They went on kind of an all-court press to get officials, and I think they did successful to some degree. It's a tough job, and you absolutely you watch basketball, football, whatever, and parents are brutal. As far as referees are concerned, a lot of guys I know who I went to high school with, I just know who are referees, and being on the sidelines, holding the chains for Harrisburg sometimes. I kind of hear some of the abuse. I mean, you can see it on, social media with AAU. It's not easy. It's
rough. It's rough. How about you, Dave? You're down in a different land than us. Have you seen much Thursday night games down there?
Once in a while, but it's over the Jewish holidays.
Okay.
And it's over the they had losing my train of thought here. Getting old.
There he is.
They had one because of Labor Day weekend. There was a couple when they had the Labor Day.
Well, here's a man that might know about what we're talking about. Coach Calvin Everett, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. How about yourself?
We're doing well. Got Travis and Dave Berman here. Terry Clark called off. He's got family issues to tend to, and we don't know where Eric Thomas is, but we still have three good men here for you, Coach.
Right, no problem.
We're just talking about it looks like the PIAA might have, at least for now, gotten their officiating issues solved. We're not seeing many Thursday night games like we had been for a few years there. Is that accurate?
Yes, I believe there is some accuracy to that. Absolutely.
Okay.
When it's official shortage, then obviously, we have to lean towards some Thursday night games. But I think that's not as bad as it was just a few years ago.
I kind of like it, man. It's like bonus football, And if you're the team that has a game on Thursday night, you're it. You know what I mean? You're able to have other people come and watch you play because they're not playing. Their practice is probably over by 6:30, 7 o'clock. So, but it's good that the officials that they're getting some officials and they don't have to scramble on a weekly basis. So let's kind of back out of this and let's talk to Cal Everett. Cal, Coach Everett, thanks for joining us. You're in your 15th season, 6 District 3 big school titles. That's ridiculous.
I know every year.
It's ridiculous. And I'm laughing only because, that's 6 in 14 years. You're in your 15th season. Out of the gate, 4-0. 3 high-quality wins. Hasn't always looked pretty. And we on this show, we're very good at pointing that out, by the way, Coach. But you're posting quality wins, while not playing your best football yet. But winning games while you're kind of fine-tuning things when you're, early in the season, midway through the season, that's what it's all about, right? Just posting W's while you're still working through some things.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, you play the game to win. But on the flip side of that, there's a lot of things that you need to do, post those wins. Like, there's a lot of things we need to do to clean up and, to become a major contender. So, we have to take care of us first.
Yeah, and this show is almost like Harrisburg Cougars football show because we do a game of the week, and every one of our games of the week has been your game so far up until this point. And we also do. I want to mention this too. We do a Players of the Week, and 3 of our 6 so far have been Cougars. So we really like to follow Harrisburg Cougars football on the show. And I'll ask you one more question, and then we'll get to these guys. Every team has its own kind of thumbprint or its own DNA. You know that. Even teams that you have like a lot of guys back, you're always losing some guys. You always have some guys that may not have made an impact at all last year. Now they are. What makes this year's team who they are, Coach?
I think I have a resilient group of guys, and I knew that in the summer, but these first 3 weeks really proved what I knew, or what I at least assumed. Just the adversity that we were able to, overcome throughout those first 3 weeks. I take my hat off to them because it wasn't easy, but they found a way. And at the end of the day, that's the most important thing, finding a way to get the W. And that's what they did.
Yeah, we last week when we were talking about it, you had gotten to 3-0, and of course what we do is we dissect games. We look at the good, the bad, the ugly, and I said, stop. This team's 3-0, and they've played 3 of the best teams in the state, to get to this point. And so our hat's off to you for sure. Travis Waters?
Yeah, Coach, one thing I noticed this year, you have a nice mix of some veterans. You have some guys who've been playing since they were really young, and now they're like a Jayon Lewis, a Kevin Brown. But then you have some really young guys, which you got some young guys on your defensive line, sophomores. You have young Titus Brown. And one thing I noticed is that I think it's probably from the guys, the older guys, the more experienced guys. They were there 2 years ago when you guys went down to Manheim Township. They don't get flustered. You went down in the second half against Imhotep. St. State College came back on you guys and made it a game. I had a battle against Bishop McDevitt, but they don't get flustered. Just come. What do you attribute that to?
I just think our guys are confident. And more importantly, when we face adversity, we don't crumble. And I can't always say that has been the case in the past, and that's the biggest thing that I think right now.
Yeah, it looks like they have blood or ice water in their veins out there at critical moments. And Travis, you and I talk about that every week. You're the one that mentions it, that you're looking at a game that's 3 minutes left to go. It's tied or you're up a couple points. I don't think you've been down much all season, but you might be up a couple points with 3 or 4 minutes to go. And they're out there. You can't tell if it was just the opening kickoff or, what juncture of the game it is, because they're ready to go and they're not going to show, how they feel about it. They're just going to go out and make the next play in front of them, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Dave Berman.
What's up, Coach?
Hey, how you doing, Dave?
Good. Grinding it out here in Delco. So, of course, announced a couple of games out in York, including yours against the TEP. Anyway, Noah Ewell doing a great job just focusing on defense this year. You want to talk about him and just full-time linebacker, but it's nice to have him in the stable in case you need a running back.
Yeah, no. Well, actually, Noah hasn't played running back for us. That was his brother Nehemiah that played running back for us.
Oh, my bad.
And he graduated last year.
Right. At our Nehemiah. Where's he now? I lost.
Nehemiah's he's at a prep school in Ohio.
Okay, but anyway, yeah, Noah Ewell, I see he's a lot of tackles.
Yes, Noah. He's one of our leaders on defense. He does a great job. This will be his third year actually starting for
That's
us.
what I was going to say.
And
Yeah.
I take my hat off to Noah. He's doing a great job help to lead our defense.
How about your coaching staff, man? A lot of grizzled veterans there. George Brown, got Chris Britton, Carlos, right? Balcom. I'm running down the list here.
Absolutely.
Santa, Shannon Bellamy, Tim Brown. Wow. Sean Lee, saw him a couple of weeks ago. Rick Brown, Jesse Hard, Joe Lapkowitz, Terrell Cornelius.
Yep. I have a great coaching staff, and none of this would be possible without those guys because they put in a lot of time, energy, and effort. They get a lot of buy-in from our players. And I take my hat off to those guys.
Titus Brown is Kevin's younger brother, I would imagine.
Yes, Titus is Kevin's younger brother. Yep.
All right.
Travis?
Yeah, because one thing I noticed, and actually we talked about this a couple years ago, you guys played Central Dauphin East, and Central Dauphin East was really successful running the ball against you. In the very next week, you guys played State College and shut down Deontay Sheffy. I think he maybe had 20-something yards rushing. And it was just such a change. And you guys have been people have been able to gain some yards on you this year on the ground. And I know Chambersburg isn't the same caliber as some of the teams you're playing, but you kind of see that change. It was a different kind of aggression there. Did you guys make any kind of adjustments as far as the run defense was concerned?
Absolutely. The first 2 weeks we weren't very happy with, the way that some things occurred with our run defense. But I thought we got much better against State College, and then just Friday night against Chambersburg, we continued that. But we pride ourselves on stopping the run. That's number one for us is stopping the run, and we're going to continue to put more emphasis on it, and just hold up our end of the bargain in terms of not allowing teams to run the ball on us.
And you probably guys played Division I running backs, multiple Division I running backs over the first 3 weeks.
Yes, we did. I mean, the first 3 weeks we definitely played Division I running backs, absolutely. And so they're those guys aren't they're not Swiss cheese. I mean, those guys can run.
I don't think outside of maybe some of these teams that played regional or national schedules, and maybe your LaSalle or St. Joe's Prep, I don't think anybody in the state has played against offensive players, teams like you guys have in the first 3 weeks. Nobody could have. I can't imagine. Because I follow this, and again, you guys played some really, really tough competition. So let's talk about this 6A field coach. This is one of the stronger ones, I think I've seen. You got yourselves, St. Joe's Prep, LaSalle College, Pitt Central Catholic, Imhotep, North Allegheny. I haven't really, we don't know what they have yet, but either Pitt Central Catholic or North Allegheny, one has to eliminate the other. And, the good news is St. Joe's Prep, LaSalle, and Imhotep, one has to eliminate the other two. But is this kind of like one of the stronger 5A or 6A fields that you've seen, Coach?
Yes, this is definitely a strong group right here. Like you said, the teams you just mentioned, they're all quality programs, quality teams, great coaches, great players. So, it's going to be interesting, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be real interesting. Those last, when we starting from the with respect to the teams that you played before this, but starting from the state quarterfinals on, that's going to be some really good football for everybody, for you, for the players, for the fans. The top 8 teams in 6A are going to be really, really good. Dave Berman.
All right, got Cedar Cliff right this weekend.
Yes.
Your thoughts?
I honestly don't think their record indicates, what kind of team they are. I actually think they're a pretty decent team. I really do. They like to be physical. They like to run the football. I think they have a few good players on their team. So, we have to be ready. We have to be prepared this week and be ready to go come Saturday afternoon.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't take a week off in the Commonwealth, that's for sure. And some of the better teams, and you're one of them, but some of the better teams over the years have learned that, it's always going to be physical. You're going to be playing against well-coached players. Mm-hmm. And you got to go out there for that 2 hours or whatever it is, whether it's Friday night or Saturday afternoon, and get it done. Be all business, no matter who you're going up against. Travis?
This is my final question. This is a loaded question. Any timeline on Messiah Mickens?
No, not at the moment. Nope.
Okay. All right. I have one more, and then we'll let you go. And this is kind of a canned question, I know, but there's still going to be an answer for it somewhere. What does this team have to do? What does this 2025 Harrisburg Cougars team have to do to go deep in this postseason? I know what the goal is. The goal is the state championship, and I'm not going to ask you about that because that's not what you ask coaches. You're worried about this coming week. I know that, but to get back to that state semifinals and then hopefully win that game, what do you have to do? How do you have to come together as a team to get to that point?
My message to the guys have been, we have to continue to work on ourselves. We have to keep getting better each day. Obviously, we have to prepare for our opponents each weekend, but I think more importantly, we have to focus on us because at the end of the day, we're our biggest opponent, and we could be our biggest enemy.
That's it was a canned question, and that answer is perfect. I was just talking to my son who just started playing golf, and I know golf and football are polar opposites, different solar systems. But I told him, I was like, dude, you got to play the course. You have to worry about your own game. In golf, you play against the course. I said, whatever the other team does, they're going to, or the other players do, they're going to do. You can control your own destiny and your own output and your own what you're able to accomplish out there. So, Coach Calvin Everett, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. We love reporting on your team. We love talking about your players, and go out there one game at a time, one practice at a time, and get another Commonwealth title, get another District 3 title, and go for that state championship. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys having me, and good luck with the rest of the show for tonight.
If you need anything else from us, let us know.
Absolutely. Take care.
Yep,
yes, sir.
Take Coach. All right, so there he is, Harrisburg coach, 15th year Harrisburg coach Calvin Everett. Again, he has 6 District 3 titles in the bag already, in the books, and he's a great interview. I mean, he's a professional interviewee. Have you guys ever noticed that? He keeps things kind of close to the chest, as he should, but he knows, those answers here he's given. There's no guarantee he's going to beat Cedar Cliff. There's no guarantee he's going to get to the state semifinals. He knows that he's got to do this a practice at a time, a game at a time. He's got to build camaraderie amongst his players. So, and he never says no to us. I mean, anytime I ask Coach Everett to do anything as far as an interview or be on a show or whatever, he always says yes. So, let's jump back into this housekeeping stuff. Too high profile. I was on a Zoom meeting. I get on this, I think it's monthly, with the PIAA, and Dr. Bob Lombardi's on there. He's the director, executive director, I believe it is, PIAA, with a couple of his assistants, and they settled. We were talking about, I call it law and order. I'm just joking around when I say this, but we've talked about some of these high profile transfers that have gotten blocked, and the PIAA, he called it settled 2 of these cases. There's a kid by the name of Dominic Chippy. He transferred from Winburn to Bishop McCourt. And then another kid by the name of Brady Wagner, Mount Lebanon to Bishop Canavan, have now been ruled eligible. Both cases, and I'm going to quote Dr. Lombardi, have been resolved satisfactorily for both sides. I don't know how the side that didn't end up with the player was satisfied, but the student athletes, he did bring this up now. This is important with this case and everyone like it. Student athletes have no legal right to participate in athletics. And I think a lot of times, and I know that Dr. Lombardi wants these kids to play, but I don't know if it was a case of, threw up the white flag. I know he doesn't like to be in litigation. I know he doesn't like to be tied up in the courts, but these kids are playing. Dominic Chippy and Brady Wagner are going to play at Bishop McCourt and Bishop Canavan. So is it Travis, to you, is it a case? These are case by case situations, okay? Does it ever look to you like, maybe two different players have done the exact same thing in terms of transferring, but one ends up being approved and the other one doesn't? Does that ever look like the case?
Well, you know what? It's hard for me to say because you never know.
You don't. That's
all of the details.
Yep.
You hear things, so it's hard. It's hard for me to say.
That's your great answer.
So it wouldn't be intellectually honest on my part if I said yes or no. I don't know.
I would, if you asked me that question, I would have to answer it in the same way. It's hard to tell. You have to kind of be there, Dave. I know that you want to see everybody play.
Unless they move in middle of the season.
Yeah, it's kind of that. I know that you have that let them play mentality, but the rules are there for a reason. It'll turn into the Wild West if you don't have rules. Okay, they don't want the PIAA to be the Wild West. Yeah. So anyway,
especially in basketball. So
well, it starts at the district level though. District 12's loose down there when it comes to the basketball. They don't want to put the hammer down on those kids.
Pretty much.
Here's another housekeeping. Private school student athletes ruled eligible by the courts to take part in the sports programs of their home public school. You guys know what I'm talking about here? Let's just use McDevitt would be a bad McDevitt has like a full stable of sports programs, but let's take Harrisburg Christian, okay? They don't have a football program. I know they have boys and girls basketball. They probably have boys and girls soccer. But let's just say that they have an athlete that wants to play a sport that their school doesn't have. They're allowed to play. It looks like they're going to be allowed to play at like Central Dauphin. I guess they would be Central Dauphin, Harrisburg Christian, because they're right up the mountain there from the high school. The courts have recommended to the PIAA that they add this to their bylaws. The PIAA has not done that yet. They already are allowing fall sports though. And then there's just to satisfy the court's ruling. And then there's a third and final reading of this what will be a bylaw in October. Expect it to pass. I mean, is that a big deal? Is that kind of something that you guys think should if you send your kid to a private school, Travis Waters, and knowing that they don't have a certain sport, should he or she be obligated to be able to play at your home high school, public school?
I can honestly see both sides of the coin, but I would say let them play. Yeah. It's like charter schools. If you have a charter school and you're in a certain footprint, they should be allowed to play for that school, or someone who is homeschooled.
Right.
As long as they don't have that sport.
And there's they still have to. In some sports, you still have to make the team. Just because let's just say a Harrisburg Christian kid wants to play girls basketball at Central Dauphin. That's a tough place to play. You don't just get added to the team. You have to make the team. You have to try out. If you make the team, there's no guarantee that you're going to get minutes. You might be at the end of the bench. So all this does is gives these students the opportunity to play the sport that their school doesn't offer.
Yeah, I said it's not too different from a co-op situation, but it is to a degree, because when you do a co-op, that the school that has the sport or whatever, they have to take on the male enrollment. So I don't know how it would work there.
No,
because you could have kids who go on to different, like you can have a kid for the Harrisburg School District goes to Harrisburg Christian. You can have a kid that lives in Central Dauphin and goes to Harrisburg Christian. Would they all play for Central Dauphin, or would they play for Ascending School District?
They would all play for. You mean if they're coming from Harrisburg Christian? We're using this as an example. So if they're coming from Harrisburg Christian, they have to. It has to be their home school.
Well, some schools have co-ops, like Linville Hill.
Yeah.
They have a basketball program.
So
Drew Simmons, their point guard. Linville Hill, heck of a football player. He plays high school football down the road at Peckway Valley, the public school.
Because that's his home school, I'm sure. His home district. Yeah,
he's from Intercourse, if you want to call it that. The town.
Lancaster County.
Yep. Gap, that area.
Yeah.
The Chester Charter, they don't have a football program. All the kids, if you go to school, you can play basketball at Chester Charter. You can play football at Chester High School. So how do you like that?
Right.
So that's just a couple of things. But yeah, I kind of agree with Travis on the other situation.
Yeah, I'm kind of neither. I think the same. Travis, you said it. You kind of took the words that I would have used. I'm neither here nor there on it, and and I would like to see the kid have an opportunity to play a sport, the sport that they want to play. Dave, let me bring you in here. Boys Latin forfeits the game at Chester. Chester wins 1-0.
2-0.
1-0. High school's 1-0.
I saw.
I'm
looking at Chester's Max Prep. They said.
Yeah, that's wrong. They put the wrong score up there. Anyway,
well,
I'm not here to debate you. High school under 1-0. Profession. I don't know if it's ever happened.
Right, they bailed out, and we get the W. We're 4-0. We should, we're 4th ranked in the state in 5A, and we got a big game down in Washington D.C. against Dunbar, and then we take it. We take it to the league. After that, we should go 9-0, and then we're going to have to run in the District 1 5A tournament. Like I said last year, we're going to have to run into the Springfield Delcos and the Strathavens, and we'll go one game at a time.
How about this one? York High 91, Northeastern 0. Is that a nothing burger, or I got on a couple? Maybe it's a nothing burger. I don't know. I got on a couple threads, and.
They scored a lot of points in the first half, York, and then they put the reserves and they just Northeastern couldn't stop them. So you just whatever you do what you got to do.
Here's what I think should be done. At least this, they should start the running clock. If it happens 10 minutes into the game, they should start at 10 minutes into the game. Because I think it was 63-0 or 65-0 at half. And you're stopping the clock the whole way. I mean, there's worse problems in high school sports than annihilation blowouts like this. But I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know how York wins. What shouldn't say how Northeastern loses by that much on a running clock. Was York still throwing the ball? Or just running, handing the ball off, and scoring touchdowns? That seems like an awful.
I mean, we just had a coach on, Cal Everett. He's as respectful, and I'm not calling York disrespectful. Okay, I'm not. But I've seen Cal be up 40-0 at halftime. In fact, he was up on Central Dauphin a few years ago. It was 40-0 at halftime. Guess what the final score was? 48-8. He scored one touchdown in the last 2 quarters. I texted somebody. I said, this could be a 70-0 game. And but anyway, it's not. I don't know who said that, Bobby Bowden, or it's not my job to stop you from scoring or stop me from scoring. It's your job to stop me from scoring.
I think it's a similar situation against Chambersburg. I mean, I want to say in the first 5 minutes of the game, it was 21-0, maybe 42 to something at halftime, and it was just kind of called the dogs off.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm seriously not judging York High. I think. And from what I hear, that they've got second and third stringers in there, and they were handing the ball off, and they were running right through the holes. There's nothing, I
can't do anything about that.
No.
I'm not going to kneel on the ball.
I'm going to save this one for next week when Terry and hopefully Eric are back in. I want to talk about multi-sport athletes. In the
Eagles picked off KC in the end zone.
Good. Next week, we're going to talk about the top multi-sport athletes in the Mid-Penn, but they have to play football. Football has to be one of their sports. And I'm just going to give you guys a little tune-up. We're not going to get into the conversation. This started because I watched Cam Sweeney play on Friday night. He looks really good. Played quarterback the whole game. But I think Cam Sweeney's definitely one of the top. Jayon Lewis, I haven't seen him play basketball. I heard he's a really good.
Jayon is
So Princeton Dent is a fabulous wrestler. I heard, really good. So we're gonna. That's a good conversation for next week, you guys. Let's.
Kevin did wrestle.
My only rule is going to be I have to currently be playing more than at least 2 sports, because it's easy to say. And I know Kevin Brown was a really good wrestler. Well, if he did wrestle, or if he did play baseball, or we want to talk about at least 2 sport athletes. Here's somebody who wants to comment. Oh, Kirby Lenz, tell Boomer his favorite Paperboy said hi. What's that?
Found from 1969. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So that'll be for next week. We'll have fun with that. How about this? Upcoming, we got Steel High at Susquehanna Township. Does that matchup kind of has that lost its flair, its flavor?
No,
I mean,
that's just not that's not a good matchup.
No.
And especially, it wasn't a good matchup last year. It's really not a good matchup this year. I don't like that matchup. Susquehanna Township is very good. They're very good. They're gonna, and I'm not slighting anyone at Trinity or East Pennsboro. They're gonna run through that division.
Right.
They are.
Yes, they are.
They're a good football team. Hats off to Joe Eden.
Become such a power.
They're just in a good kind of window of good. They were 1-10 4 or 5 years ago. Not that many years ago, or 0-10. I mean,
but Joe Heaton.
Yeah,
well, it's Joe. I mean, Joe Heaton does a good job, and Susquehanna Township historically has very good athletes. You can go back to guys I played with. Doug Lawrence, Rick Turner. Hey, Rick Turner went to Pitt and started his freshman year, y'all.
I know those guys too.
Kirvin Richards. You know what I mean? I played with those guys. Charlie Appleberry, he had a full ride to Clemson. All came off the same team.
Wow.
And then you got the Ben Duprees, the Taj Turners. I can go on, and I'm leaving guys, a lot of guys out. The Rodney Watkins, I'm leaving guys out.
Right.
Susquehanna Township historically has some talented players. Where they fall short a lot of times is on the line. But from an athletic standpoint, Susquehanna Township can play with anyone. Yeah. So I haven't. I used to go to games every single Friday night, and I stopped doing it because I watched 4 games at once since this show started. And that's not an excuse. I love being out there, but I think I'm going to go out and watch that game. It's right near my house. I'm friends with I call both the head coaches my friends, and I might go stand on the Travis, if you're not doing anything, you want to go hang out, I'm just not feeling
good. It might be a halftime game for me. But anyway, so that's all the housekeeping stuff. Some of the other scores here, you guys can interrupt me whenever you see fit. I can't really. I got a lot of Central Dauphin moves to 2-2. They really handled Altoona well. They just kind of threw them around. Now Altoona, they won that big game against Cumberland Valley the week before. CD had no turnovers. Altoona had 5 turnovers. That can make the difference in a game. They won by 17. And here we are. I mentioned that had Central Dauphin not scheduled a team in week 1 that I thought was pretty much an automatic loss. Central York, they could be 3-1 right now, and not sitting in any kind of driver's seat. I'm not going there, but they'd have a much better chance at 3-1 of ending up in the playoffs. But it is what it is. They're 2-2, and they're trying to salvage a season here, and hopefully get to 5-5 and get like one of those lower end playoff spots. East over Carlisle 27-7. State College over Cumberland Valley. I think State College was without Deontay Sheffy.
Yeah, he didn't play.
Yeah, and Cumberland Valley, they're that team. They can keep things close with you. No matter how good or not good they are. Cumberland Valley, right, Dave? You've seen them. They beat Harrisburg last year.
Yeah.
But I don't think this is one of the better Manheim Township teams, but they're good. Manheim Township's good, and they only beat CV 7-0. I think it was week 1. So, it's a good win for State College to get past that challenge.
And then you were quite the. You had a heck of a sprinting career, Susquehanna Township. I see. Back in the day under Don Hodge.
Who did?
You, Travis Waters.
Oh, Coach Hodge.
You didn't know you were a sprinter?
Doug Lawrence, Ralph, Seth Dyke.
Yeah. We had some showdowns with Ishmael.
Did you go to school with Steve Dykes?
I went graduated with his brother Seth. We ran a 4x4.
Okay.
Steve graduated with my sister.
I went to elementary school with Steve. He went to Southside. Yep. Yeah. Okay, Dave, we have to talk about this. Hershey 27, Mifflin County 7. You're our District 6 correspondent.
They're scrappy.
Okay. Here's Mifflin County's last 2 games on the ground. Against Mechanicsburg, 17 carries for 5 yards. Okay. 66 total yards. So they must have had 61 in the air. Against Hershey, 18 carries for -18 yards.
They they got to get that front. The offensive line's got to get going. Got to start opening some holes. Got to toughen up a little bit from what I saw on the film. So I think they'll get another shot at it. The problem is their defense. They're not that big. If you play smash mouth football and have some discipline, I mean, it's going to be tough for Mifflin County to stop a lot of these teams.
Yeah, I'm not trying to bust their. I just know that you're a fan. You're a supporter of them and used to work up there and cover their sports. So
for a long time.
They've had minus 13 total rushing yards in the last 2 games.
It looks like they leave their defense on the field for a long time.
Yeah. And their defense, they're pesky. They're tough. They're tough for a Mifflin County defense. I mean, it's kind of different though when Mifflin County's playing a Hershey or a Mechanicsburg, or these might not be our best teams down here, but Hershey's pretty darn good. Mechanicsburg's pretty darn good.
You think Mifflin County can win? Go 6-4, right?
Yeah, I kind of wonder what they're going to do now against Lower Dauphin though. Lower Dauphin beat Mechanicsburg. That's a good segue. 34-yard field goal with 7 seconds left in the 4th.
Wow.
For Lower Dauphin. So that kind
of win for Lower Dauphin.
Yeah. Let's Redland.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You guys could have a bunch of teams in the District 3, 5, 8 tournament from the Keystone.
Yeah. We typically do. Blowout wins for Redland over Waynesboro, Susquehanna Township over West Perry.
Can I stop you right there? How about Redland? Coach said he had a playoff team and no lies detected.
They're 4-0.
They're doing an outstanding job.
Coach
what
Jamie
were they
Thomas?
predicted in the preseason, Joe?
I don't know. I do read that stuff too because I like Eric Epler. I like what they do at Penn Live, and I do follow those guys. But I don't know where they were supposed to. But it's Coach Thomas. He was pretty confident that this is a good team. And I'm happy for him. If anybody doesn't know Coach Jamie Thomas, he's a first-year coach, and he was our guest 2 weeks ago on the show. So you can go back either on YouTube or on our Facebook page and see a very impressive interview with him. And then next week's guest, hopefully, East Pennsboro, John Denniston, 21, Greencastle, 12. Manheim Township struggled, Dave. You and I were texting or talking. They struggled with Plymouth Whitemarsh, but they came out on top, 37-31.
That makes things interesting down here because I know Interboro came really close to beating Plymouth Whitemarsh, and Interboro just beat Upper Moreland, and Upper Moreland is a very solid program. So yeah, we'll just see what goes on. But I'm definitely excited for Bonner down here. It looks like they're going to repeat state champs.
Yeah, they were good. That's who beat Lampeter Strasburg last year, right?
A lot of good teams, as you know. And LaSalle, I mean, are we going to touch those games at all? LaSalle?
Yes, we are. In fact, that's getting close. I wanted to mention Central York. They went up against Spring Grove. This epitomizes the situation Central York's in down there at New York Adams League. Spring Grove came in 3-0. Big matchup, 3-0 versus 3-0. Okay, looked like a marquee matchup for YA big schools. 50-13, and Central York still has to play York High. I think they play like in week 10, week 9 or 10. Pretty sure it's 10, but they just don't really have much competition down there. Central York, he's got to go outside and play really good. Coach Janchuk play some really good teams, or he's not going to be prepared for the playoff. And he does see good teams. Right. So 50-13. LaSalle College 48, Calvert Hall 7.
That's pretty scary. Travis, see any of that?
No, I didn't see it. I saw the score, and it's going to be. It's just. It's going to be. They're a good football team. They're just St. Joe's Prep, LaSalle College. When you have the structure that they have, as far as a large metropolitan area like that, and you can bring players in. That's just. It is what it is.
Calvert Hall, they're from Baltimore. There's a lot of good teams down there in Baltimore and right outside of Baltimore, like a lot of them. St. Joe's Prep lost to St. Francis Academy, another Baltimore team, 34-26. And, people just I don't think people understand. I'm not saying I know everything, okay? I don't. St. Francis Academy was ranked 6th in the country and St. Joe's Prep lost to them by 8. They've lost, and I wrote it down here. St. Joe's Prep's 0-3, and I had a guy say today on, I think on Terry's, it might have been on the football, high school football. They shouldn't even be ranked in the top 10. You're 0-3, you shouldn't even be ranked.
That's nonsense.
And here's who St. Joe's Prep has lost to. They lost to American Heritage, who was ranked number 9 at the time, by 3. And they had led 28-0. They lost 31-28. They lost to DeMatha by a lot. But DeMatha was ranked 15 in the country at the time. They lost to St. Francis Academy last night, by 8. St. Francis blew out Chaminade, who was number 18 in the country. And St. Francis lost to the number 2 team in the country, St. John Bosco, by 7. Okay, we're talking about elite high school football teams here that St. Joe's Prep is mixing it up with and just hasn't been able to get a win. Okay, you understand what I'm talking about, Travis. Dave, you understand what I'm talking about. But I think people just don't realize that 0-3 doesn't always indicate that a team's like not good.
No, it's like McDevitt being 1-2. You know, they're one of the best teams in 5A.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I said this in our chat. I said, it doesn't matter. I don't care who they lose to out of state. You know, it depends on who they lose to in state. I know they're playing quality teams out of state. It means nothing. It means
right. Nothing. It's kind of they're kind of like tune-up games, really. I mean, I know for them they're not. Dave, what are the St. Joe's Prep faithful? What do they have to say down there?
Well, it's kind of they're very upset because they put a lot of money into the program.
Well,
not only do they want to win the Catholic League, they no ifs, ands, or buts, got to win the PIAA state title, and they've got to start competing better against these national powerhouses. They want to be a national powerhouse type team.
Well, they're not going to get all the good players down there anymore. LaSalle's always been good. You know, I think LaSalle actually won a state championship a while back.
9.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So it's not like they just started being good, but they just started being better than they were. Right. So anyway, that's going to be.
I'm going to look up and see who they play next here.
Who? St. Joe's Prep? Oh, LaSalle.
Okay. They're off.
Don't they have Roman
Catholic
coming up?
2 weeks. Roman Catholic got smoked, as you saw. You got St. Joe's Prep on October the 4th. And they got Bonner on October 10th. O'Hara, who is better, October 17th. Father Judge 10/24. So, yeah.
I have Roman Catholic hosting LaSalle next week. Is that wrong?
That's on. It says 9/26.
Oh, okay. So it's their next game, not next week. They have a bye week. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for clearing that up. And then Malvern handed it to Imhotep 35-7. Imhotep without their starting quarterback. But Malvern's just a different kind of football program, you know.
Yeah, I mean, unbelievably disciplined and just and again, they recruit kids in to be like they want to be a national power. I mean, they get a lot of guys, man. Malvern Prep and Dave Guerrera does a heck of a job. The pride of Delco. He's from Springfield and the Cardinal O'Hara High School.
And I think Imhotep probably bit off a little bit more than they could chew because I think they had a few guys who were injured. And you start off with Harrisburg, and you go to DeMatha, then you play Malvern Prep. I would have liked to see them just like I would like to see Chester maybe challenge themselves and come in and play some tough PIAA 5A schools. I would like to see Imhotep do the same right now, versus jumping off and you're not necessarily you're really a good team, but you're not a St. Joe's Prep, and I think they're modeling their program kind of like that. Like when I saw them play Harrisburg, no one was going both ways. But when I look at their secondary, the back half of their defense, I'm like, they probably should have had some of their starting receivers in their secondary, right? Because I don't think they're at the level where they can just go have platoon guys. You're just not at that level. Right
you're saying you got to have to put your best players out there sometimes.
Yeah, just no
matter who they are.
They're close to platooning, but they're not there yet, And but I'll say this: someone who loved playing high school football, I wouldn't want to play on a team like that. I want to be on the field offense and defense in high school.
Sure, absolutely. So I mentioned that Harrisburg has played, the first 3 games, an incredibly impressive schedule. Some of these schools have too, and you just mentioned it. Imhotep and LaSalle. LaSalle played. Well, they just played Calvert Hall, but they played Pitt Central Catholic in week 1. So there's been some tough games for some really good teams, and they've been able to show what they're made of after 4 weeks for sure. And then I'm just going to throw this in. Shippensburg got by Palmyra by a point. Shippensburg's supposed to be one of the elite Keystone teams. And, so Dave, there's another game that Mifflin County might have a hard time with. Palmyra. Maybe they're okay,
I think it's pretty cool. Of course, I talked to the state college assistant coaches. A couple of them keep in touch with me. I always say, you guys really, Mifflin County, Altoona State College, should go through District 3. The District 3 tournament, he says, up here in State College, we would love to do that. But it hasn't,
Well, State College could handle it, okay?
Right.
That's different. That's a different District 6 type of football program than Mifflin County, than even Hollidaysburg. And Hollidaysburg's good, but they're not going to come down and win our 5A tournament ever.
Right. Well, it's good to see at least in 5A they have it's 5 teams. Only 4 get in. It's a district this year. Last year they did.
That's better. Having 4 teams rather than 2 is better. At least it's a mini tournament.
6, and there's 2 District 6 teams. It's a District 6, District 8, District 9, District 10 sub-regional. And, of course, District 6 has the 2 teams. So, only the top 4 make it. So we'll see who goes there. Erie Prep is in there. Is that fair?
Yeah, well, they have that sub-region now, right?
Yeah, they're in the sub-region, but you have to run into them. And last year they did lose to Du Bois, Erie Prep.
Yeah.
So that was
they're not what they once were.
Well, they got Mike Misher came back. Mishler.
Is he the head coach?
Yeah, he won all those state titles, and
that can make a difference.
But they had them losing to Du Bois, and they said, "Mike, you got to come back."
Right. I don't know if we really have to start going around the state yet. Let's kind of wrap this up. I don't know if there's any games you guys want to talk about around the state. It kind of serves us much better and our viewers much better to talk about the local teams. There wasn't any really strong, District 3 outside of the Mid-Penn matchups either. It was just kind of and I say this a lot with respect to the teams that did play and the kids that did play. It wasn't a great week of football. We didn't even have a game of the week. I mean, there was nothing that was kind of like marquee matchups or anything like that.
And there's nothing really that interesting this week.
No. I'll tell you what, man, we were spoiled those first 3 weeks. There was a lot of really good football the first 3 weeks.
Well, Our Lady of Good Counsel against St. Joe's Prep.
Yeah, that could be another loss for St. Joe's Prep.
Good.
And I'll sit here in this seat and still say they're really a good team.
What do I call them, Joe? What do you call them? The boosters, the Catholic League, the boosters, the fan base. They're the ones they get a lot of money, man. They get a lot of money, so they're really ticked off.
Well, it's a $30,000 a year school, so you have people that are out in the community making lots of money and succeeding, having a lot of success. So there's a lot of money coming back in, but yeah, they're just used to winning. That's really what it comes down to.
No doubt. I mean, 9 state titles.
Okay, so let's kind of head down the home stretch here, and let's talk about our players of the week. I always text you guys and give you an opportunity to disagree with me or to add a name I went through as many players and games and performances as I possibly could. These are the 2 that totally stood out. Now, the backup running back for East had like 202 yards or 210 yards. I don't even remember his name. My apologies.
Great game.
Game. He had a great game, but it was against Carlisle. One of the, but we're going to keep an eye on him. He still had a really good game.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, you know what? I'm going to find that kid and give him a T-shirt. He's going to be a co-player of the week. All right. Now I feel bad because I'm thinking over 200 yards. That's a great game. So we're going to have 3. I'm not prepared here for it. I'm prepared with these 2. That's Cam Sweeney against Hershey in that 27-7 win. Very clean game. He threw the ball 11 times, 6 for 11, 140 yards, touchdown pass, 10 carries for 102 yards. I mean, you're
Do you
averaging.
guys have any idea? I should have asked his dad, the York High great Emnigo, and you guys have met him before.
Kutztown University.
Curious, who's looking at him? Travis, you have any inside scoop on that? Where do you see him, basketball or football in college?
I think he's a I think that's what I think, basketball, but just as far as player of the week, he could be player of the week every week, quite honestly. There's a couple of guys that can be player of the week every week, and he's one of them.
So if I'm going to, I'm trying to find, let me see here. Let's see if Dwan turned this kid's game into, here it is. Alante Caceres, 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 for Central Dauphin East, ran for 210 yards and 2 touchdowns in a 27-7 win over Carlisle. So we're going to have 3 co-players of the week. It's going to be Alante, Cam Sweeney, and drum roll for this guy, Torrin Evans.
Yeah.
Susquehanna Township's Torrin Evans.
Outstanding.
How about, listen to this. Did you see these? I use the word gaudy a lot. Not a lot. I mean, you gotta have gaudy numbers for me to call him gaudy, but 11 for 19 for 197 yards in the air, 3 touchdown passes, 6 carries for 168 yards, and 2 touchdown runs for Torrin Evans. That's gaudy numbers there, fellas.
Yeah.
And he's the epitome of dual threat.
Woo!
One thing before I get out of here, big game down here, undefeated Westchester East. They're 5A, ranked 4th in 5A, taking on undefeated Coatesville. And Coatesville they look really, really good in beating a tremendous Perkiomen Valley team the other night. So Coatesville 6A, Westchester East 5A. I look for Coatesville to be the favorite in that game, but you never know. That's a big one down here Friday night.
So we will get player of the week T-shirts out to Alante Caceres, Cam Sweeney, and Torrin Evans. They'll all 3 get one, and great weeks for all 3 of you guys. Keep up the good work. So that's about it.
Bragg just keeps getting it done.
He keeps getting it done. I want to thank Cal Everett for coming in and joining us. He's always a pleasure to have on. He's a great asset to our high school sports community for sure. I want to thank Travis Waters, Dave Berman, 2 of our panel of experts. We were without Terry Clark Jr. and Eric Thomas tonight. And I want to thank once again our sponsors. I just want to throw this up there. I don't have to go through them all, but thanks to these great local businesses once again for their continued support. And hopefully next week we'll get John Denniston on here. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Travis. We really appreciate it. Enjoy your Sunday nights.
Thank you.
Yep. Take care.